Imagine you're deep underground, surrounded by darkness, with nothing but the sound of your own breathing echoing off stone walls. The entrance you came through is nowhere to be seen, and your flashlight is starting to flicker. In moments like these, knowing how to read subterranean signals could mean the difference between finding your way out and becoming permanently lost in the depths. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most overlooked survival skills out there, navigating subterranean signals like a pro, whether you're exploring caves, trapped in an underground structure after a disaster, or just preparing for the unexpected. Understanding the hidden language of the underground world is absolutely essential. Subterranean signals are the natural and man-made indicators that exist beneath the Earth's surface. These can be anything from air currents and water flows to mineral deposits and acoustic patterns. The underground environment communicates with us constantly, but most people don't know how to listen. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to interpret these signals and navigate safely through subterranean spaces. Before we get into the techniques, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how experienced cavers and underground explorers seem to have a sixth sense about direction? It's not magic. It's about reading the subtle clues that the underground environment provides. These signals have guided miners, spelunkers, and survival experts for centuries, and today, you're going to learn how to use them yourself. If you want to dive deeper into survival tactics and enjoy an exciting story at the same time, check the link in the description to download our exclusive ebook, The Gamma Roach Comic Book. It combines survival knowledge with an engaging narrative that'll keep you hooked. And while you're checking that out, also take a look at our unique survival-themed merch. We've got designs you won't find anywhere else, and they're perfect for anyone serious about preparedness. Now, let's get into the 5 essential methods for detecting and interpreting subterranean signals. The first and most critical signal to master is airflow. Underground environments create natural ventilation systems, and learning to feel and interpret these air currents can literally save your life. Here's what you need to know. Air always moves from high pressure to low pressure. In cave systems and underground tunnels, this means air flows from smaller passages to larger chambers, and from deeper areas toward surface openings. When you feel a breeze on your face underground, you're feeling air moving toward an exit or a larger space. To use this effectively, stop every few minutes and pay attention. Wet your finger or hold up a small piece of thread or fabric. Even the slightest air movement will cool one side of your finger more than the other, or cause your thread to drift in a particular direction. This is your compass underground. Let me give you a real-world example. In 1995, a group of cavers in Kentucky became disoriented in a complex cave system when their lights failed. Instead of panicking, they sat still and felt for air movement. By following the subtle breeze consistently in one direction, they made it to a chamber with multiple exits and eventually found their way out. They followed the air, and the air led them to safety. One important safety reminder here: if you smell something unusual on the air current, like sulfur, methane, or other chemical odors, do not follow that airflow. Those smells indicate dangerous gases, and you need to move away from them immediately. Water is perhaps the most reliable subterranean signal you'll encounter. It always flows downhill, always seeks the path of least resistance, and almost always leads somewhere. When you're underground and lost, finding water is your second priority after air. Listen carefully for the sound of dripping or flowing water. Underground water creates distinct acoustic signatures. A steady drip means you're near a seep or small water source. A rushing sound indicates a stream or underground river. Here's the key principle. Water that's moving is going somewhere, and that somewhere is usually out. Underground streams eventually emerge at springs, and following them can lead you to an exit. However, and this is crucial, never follow water into increasingly narrow passages or downward into sumps, which are underwater sections of caves. Water can pass through spaces you cannot. Instead, follow water laterally when possible, staying on the banks or elevated areas. Mark your path as you go. A smart technique is to use the water's direction as a reference point. If you need to backtrack, you'll know to head back upstream. I remember reading about a mining accident in Chile, where workers trapped underground used water seepage to guide their movement through collapsed tunnels. They marked arrows pointing upstream and used the water flow to map the safest routes until rescue teams could reach them. Understanding water direction gave them a mental map of their environment. Sound behaves very differently underground than it does on the surface, and learning to use acoustic signals is like developing a sonar sense. In tight passages, sounds are amplified and reflected. In large chambers, sounds dissipate and echo. By creating sounds and listening to how they return to you, you can actually map the space around you without seeing it. Here's how to do this practically. Clap your hand sharply or tap a rock against the wall. Listen to the echo. A quick, sharp echo means you're in a confined space with walls nearby. A long, reverberating echo means you're in a large chamber. If there's no echo at all, you might be in a space with sound-absorbing materials like sand or loose earth, or the sound is escaping through an opening. Professional cavers use this technique constantly. They'll shout or whistle and listen for how the sound behaves. If your voice carries in a particular direction and seems to travel farther, that often indicates a larger passage or opening in that direction. Try this exercise above ground, first to train your ear. Go into different sized rooms in your home and clap. Notice how different the sound feels in a small bathroom versus a large living room. That same principle applies underground, just more extremely. One warning: be mindful of loose rock and unstable formations. Loud noises can occasionally trigger rockfalls in delicate environments, so use acoustic mapping judiciously and keep the sounds moderate. Temperature is a subtle but powerful subterranean signal that most people completely overlook. The underground world has its own thermal rules, and understanding them gives you another navigation tool. Deep underground, temperature tends to stabilize at the average annual surface temperature for that region. But near entrances and exits, you'll notice temperature changes. Air from the surface brings seasonal temperatures with it, creating gradients you can detect. Here's what to pay attention to. If you're in a cold cave system during summer and you suddenly feel warmer air, you're likely moving toward the surface or toward a connection with outside air. In winter, the opposite is true. Colder air near the surface will sink into caves, so if you feel a cold draft, you might be heading toward an exit. Temperature changes also tell you about the size of passages ahead. Larger chambers often have more stable temperatures because the air volume is greater and less affected by external conditions. Narrow passages show more dramatic temperature swings because they're more directly connected to outside air. A technique used by experienced underground explorers is to carry a simple thermometer or just use their bare hands against the rock. Rock near the surface will show more temperature variation throughout the day. Rock deep underground stays constant. If you're moving through a system and the rock temperature starts varying more, you might be getting closer to an exit. During a cave rescue operation in France, rescuers used thermal imaging to detect airflow patterns and temperature gradients that led them to trapped explorers. While you won't have thermal cameras in a survival situation, your own body's sensitivity to temperature can provide similar information if you train yourself to notice it. The final method involves reading the geological story written in the rocks themselves. Mineral deposits, rock formations, and sediment patterns all provide directional clues if you know what to look for. Water leaves trails, calcite formations, flowstone, and mineral staining on walls show you where water has traveled over time. These deposits accumulate over thousands of years, and they point in the direction of historical water flow. If you see mineral deposits on a wall, water came from the opposite direction and flowed past that point. Look for oxidation patterns. In iron-rich rocks, you'll see rust-colored staining that follows water paths. These stains are road maps showing you where water goes. And as we established earlier, water usually leads somewhere useful. Sediment layers tell stories too. Fine silt on the floor indicates periodic flooding from a water source. The direction that sediment is deposited can show you which way water flows during wet periods. Coarser gravel and rocks indicate faster water movement and steeper gradients. Root penetration is another powerful signal. If you see roots coming through cracks in the ceiling or walls, you're relatively close to the surface. Roots need soil and moisture, and they don't penetrate more than a few dozen feet down in most cases. Following the direction where roots are more abundant can lead you toward shallower areas. Here's a practical scenario. You're in a tunnel system, and you notice one direction has more mineral deposits, root penetration, and lighter colored rock with oxidation. The other direction has darker rock with fewer features. Your best bet is to head toward the deposits and roots because those indicate proximity to the surface and more active water systems that connect to the outside world. Now that you understand these 5 methods individually, here's where it gets really powerful. The best underground navigators don't rely on just one signal. They combine multiple indicators to build a complete picture of their environment. Imagine you feel an air current moving left. You hear water echoing from the same direction. The temperature is slightly warmer that way, and you see mineral deposits on the walls pointing left. All these signals agreeing with each other gives you high confidence that left is the right direction to travel. On the other hand, if signals contradict each other, that's important information too. It tells you the environment is complex, and you need to proceed carefully and gather more data before committing to a direction. Always mark your path as you navigate. Use rocks to build cairns, scratch marks on walls if possible, or leave any non-permanent markers you can. This allows you to backtrack if a signal leads you to a dead end. Underground navigation is often a process of trial and error, and there's no shame in retracing your steps when you hit an obstacle. Before we wrap up, let's talk about some critical safety points. Never explore subterranean environments alone. Always tell someone where you're going and when you expect to return. Carry multiple light sources, extra batteries, and basic survival supplies. If you do find yourself in an emergency situation underground, the most important thing is to stay calm. Panic consumes energy and impairs judgment. Sit down, assess your situation, and systematically apply the methods we've discussed. Conserve your light. Your eyes will adjust to low light conditions over time, and you can navigate short distances by feel if necessary. Use light sparingly to preserve battery life for when you really need it. Stay hydrated and maintain your core temperature. Underground environments can be cold and damp, leading to hypothermia. If you have any way to stay dry and warm, prioritize that. So there you have it, 5 essential methods for navigating subterranean signals, like a survival pro. We covered reading airflow patterns to find exits, using water as a directional guide, acoustic mapping to understand your surroundings, detecting temperature gradients, and interpreting geological indicators. Each of these skills individually is valuable, but together they form a comprehensive toolkit for underground navigation. The underground world doesn't have to be a place of fear and disorientation. With the right knowledge, it becomes a place you can read and understand. Every air current, every water drip, every echo is the earth communicating with you. Now you know how to listen. If you found this information valuable, make sure to check out the links in the description. Download our exclusive Gamma Roach comic book ebook for more survival knowledge wrapped in an exciting story. And browse our survival-themed merch designed for people who take preparedness seriously. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our survival content. Drop a like on this video if you learned something new, and leave a comment telling us what survival topic you want us to cover next. Have you ever been in an underground environment? What was your experience like? We'd love to hear your stories. Stay safe out there, stay prepared, and remember, the earth is always speaking. You just need to know how to listen. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep surviving.